February 17th, 2026, the Ranger Road fire erupted near Beaver County in the Oklahoma Panhandle and became one of the largest and most destructive wildfires of the 2026 season in USA. Within a single operational period, the fire expanded across open rangeland and grazing territory at an extreme rate, ultimately burning approximately 145,000 acres, or nearly 59,000 hectares by the end of the day. Fire officials reported 0% containment during this phase because crews were unable to safely construct or hold control lines amid intense wind-driven fire behavior. The rapid escalation quickly overwhelmed local response capabilities and transformed the incident into a multi-state emergency, impacting both Oklahoma and Kansas. The explosive fire growth was closely tied to unusually severe fire weather conditions that developed across the southern plains. Sustained winds exceeding 30 miles per hour, combined with gusts surpassing 65 miles per hour, creating fast-moving flame fronts that spread through cured grasses and dry rangeland fuels. Relative humidity levels fell into critically low ranges, allowing vegetation to ignite easily and burn intensely. These conditions supported long-range ember transport, which allowed burning debris to travel well ahead of the main fire perimeter and ignite additional spot fires. The strong winds also forced firefighting aircraft to remain grounded for extended periods, limiting aerial suppression options during the most aggressive period of fire growth.
That's crazy.
Well, at least you have some sort of...
As the fire advanced northeast from its ignition area, it began threatening rural communities and infrastructure corridors. Residents in the community of Gate were among the first to receive evacuation instructions as fire spread rapidly through surrounding grazing lands. The fire's progression then placed growing pressure on population centers farther east, including portions of Woodward, where evacuation orders were issued for several southwestern residential areas, as heavy smoke darkened the sky and fire activity moved closer to developed neighborhoods. Local emergency managers confirmed that homes were burning within parts of Woodward as the blaze approached, including in areas near 13th Street and Oklahoma Avenue, prompting the expansion of evacuation zones and urgent sheltering for residents. Emergency officials also evacuated nursing homes and businesses to ensure the safety of vulnerable populations where fire danger was greatest. The wildfires spread soon crossed state lines, extending into multiple counties in southern Kansas and forcing additional evacuations. Mandatory evacuation orders were issued for residents of Englewood and Ashland as fire behavior models projected increasing risk to homes, agricultural facilities, and transportation routes. Additional precautionary evacuations were implemented in Herndon as smoke and advancing fire fronts threatened communities further north. Emergency shelters were opened in nearby safe zones, providing temporary housing, food distribution, and medical support to displaced residents as local emergency managers coordinated relocation efforts. Transportation infrastructure across the region experienced significant disruption as the fire intensified. Portions of major travel corridors in the Oklahoma Panhandle were closed when flames crossed roadways and dense smoke sharply reduced visibility. Highway closures complicated evacuation traffic and emergency resource movement, forcing law enforcement agencies to establish traffic control points and reroute motorists away from active fire zones. Similar travel disruptions were reported in southwestern Kansas, where smoke conditions and emergency operations prompted temporary road closures and travel advisories designed to protect public safety.
Melissa!
say it's catching up. Get your cat and go. Come on.
The Ranger Road fire required rapid coordination among multiple emergency response agencies across jurisdictional boundaries. The Oklahoma Department of Emergency Management activated the State Emergency Operations Center prior to peak fire expansion in anticipation of widespread wildfire outbreaks. Federal fire management assistance grants were approved for the incident, enabling cost reimbursement for firefighting resources, equipment deployment, and logistical support needed to sustain long-duration suppression operations. Beyond immediate structural losses, the fire produced widespread environmental and public health consequences. Massive smoke columns rose thousands of feet into the atmosphere and were visible for long distances across the region. Downwind smoke transport significantly degraded air quality across multiple counties, prompting public health officials to issue advisories encouraging residents to remain indoors, seal windows, and limit physical exertion. The smoke plume also reduced visibility across large portions of the Panhandle and southwestern Kansas, further complicating evacuation logistics and emergency response coordination. Agricultural impacts were substantial because the fire burned through extensive grazing land that supports regional livestock operations.
This is Ethan's field. Nothing we can do.
Ranchers across the affected counties initiated emergency livestock relocation efforts as fire spread across pasture land, fencing systems, and water access points. Damage assessments conducted after initial fire progression focused heavily on evaluating losses to fencing infrastructure, livestock containment systems, feed storage, and grazing capacity, all of which represent critical economic components for local agricultural communities. Investigators continue to examine the ignition source of the Ranger Road fire. Fire origin specialists plan to conduct detailed on-site analysis once conditions allow safe access to the suspected origin area. Determining the cause remains essential for wildfire documentation, public safety evaluation, and long-term mitigation planning intended to reduce the likelihood of similar, large-scale incidents in the future.
Oh my God, that's a pileup. Holy crap. Well, you watch the road, baby.
That's what happened.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Thanks for watching Severe Weather, where we break down the facts behind nature's most intense moments. If you found this video helpful, please like, comment, and subscribe. Your support keeps this channel going. Hit the bell so you never miss a real, calm, and clear report. See you in the next one. Stay informed, stay safe.